The worst fake gurus destroyed by Penguin Zero. I posted a comment on this video and I'm going to read out my comment to you, and I'm going to explain to you why my comment actually matters to you, a normal person. So this is my comment. Let me read it out to you. I had a personal conversation with Jason Rojo over a year ago. I was literally homeless at the time, but I bought one of his Facebook ad guides. It was somewhat useful for tweaking and engineering Facebook ads behind the scenes, but it did not deliver the results I was looking for because obviously there were way more factors to consider that I still have not 100% resolved to this day. Plus, his information product was heavily geared towards forceful integration with his Go high-level funnels. So the product I bought was partially useless unless I were rich and could afford all of his shit, and no offense. And I'm like, whatever, man. Anyway, he called me for about 15 minutes trying to qualify me and see if he could upsell me, seeing as I must have struck a nerve for him to literally go out of his way to call me after literally declining every single upsell in his funnel. I had to decline his over-the-phone upsell because I obviously couldn't afford it. And whatever money I did have at the time, I told him I already spent it elsewhere. And then he's like, you should have spent that money on me, he says. You should have given it to me and I would have helped you out. And I'm like, with what? Manually overriding my shitty ads that offered zero value to begin with? And I'm like, I didn't say this, but I'm just thinking like, man, dude, you literally made ads screaming, my system will explode your sales, etc. So you made me feel like a homeless person, feel like I was going to get rich. Like, what do you expect? I'm going to buy this shit. But anyway, somewhere along the lines of our conversation, he said to me something like this. If you were a millionaire, then you'd already be one. And my head was spinning for weeks just thinking about whether what he said was legitimately useful advice or downright impractical. I asked myself, well, if that's true, then is that not also true for everything? And if that's true for everything, then how do you become anything at all? And I could have beat myself up thinking I was overthinking or something weird like that. And now that I'm seeing videos like this on YouTube, where famous big YouTubers and TikTokers are getting exposed for being fakes or just assholes, it makes me personally feel so much better about myself. Not because I'm personally relieved to see someone else get negative attention and have the finger get pointed at them, but because these famous people literally make me feel like, they made me feel like I was crazy for listening to them. And I was thinking that they were smart and above me. I beat myself up every day trying to be like them and could barely get table scraps. And I was a fucking mess. And I'm still trying to recover to this day just from listening to these famous people, because they made me inflate my own stupidity and ego. And just to remember the quote that Wojo told me, I had to dig through some old vlogs just to find it, and I felt so ashamed for making my old vlogs. If you've seen them, even trying to sell my own vlogs as a shitty course. I could even barely listen to my own self. I just can't. And this video on YouTube makes me so happy because it just shows that these people, they're just bullshitting you. That is the end of my comment. You can actually look that up or read that, but that's the gist of my comment. Now, why this is important to you is because you might have experienced something like this yourself. Maybe you are currently experiencing something like this yourself because you are a normal person. You might not have received the most higher up education, or maybe you did receive college, I don't know. But you see these famous people on YouTube, you see these famous people on TikTok, right? And these people, they talk such high game that they make you feel like shit that you don't understand or you're not at their level. Like, they make you feel like that. It's not them deliberately making you feel like that. Maybe not intentionally, I'm not sure. Of course, we ourselves are responsible for our own feelings and triggers and in recognizing those things. But that's how I felt and can still accidentally feel a lot of the time when I'm seeing these big YouTubers and successful TikTokers. And you might feel the same way. You might recognize this TikToker. I can't remember her name. Only JS. I'm not a fan personally, But I used to watch a couple of her famous TikToks here and there, and sometimes they might be interesting, but when you see people like her blow up, and then you see behind the scenes that their life is actually just miserable, it made me feel so much better about myself, because I'm like, on the surface level, my life kind of looks like shit. But I do actually have my shit together, and this makes me feel good about myself now, because seeing these big people who were literally bullshitting us over the internet, literally bullshitting, it makes me feel better about myself, knowing that I wasn't 100% crazy for listening to these people and believing what they were saying and beating myself up over the things that they were saying. And you might be in the same boat. It makes me, I don't know, it might be wrong to say this, but it makes me happy knowing that even though back then I was definitely an asshole, I suppose, I'm still beating myself up all the time. I'm actually trying to recover from beating myself up. Literally to this day, I spent half the day trying to craft a thing, sort of like a audio tape, just to make myself feel better, actually. And it's personal, it's not something I'm going to be sharing. And and I've had personal experiences with this in real life as well, with some women out there who present or can come across as very loving, but behind that surface, you could say, is a very dark cauldron of poison. And I want to bring to your attention this one quote that I randomly found on YouTube from this guy who goes out into the wilderness with his dogs, and he goes walking, and he does, I guess, life coaching maybe, or he just gives out advice. And this old guy, he said, the thing we have to remember is that there's still evil out in the world. And we're all sinners. We all are subject to fault, sin, doing bad things. We can tell lies, we can do things out of desperation. We're all like this. But perhaps some people are more so than others. And I'm not here to judge, and even with Jason Wojo and Only JS or whatever her name is, I'm not particularly judging these people and calling them out saying that they're bad people. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that whatever these people were doing, they were bullshitting. We have to remain aware that bullshitting, lying, and evil does still exist in the world. It's far more prominent than we'd like to imagine. I just watched a video by Mr. Beast where he's like helping thousands of people gain access to fresh, clean water, right? But then how many more millions? There's like 1 in 10 people who don't have access to clean water, right? That's crazy. There's still crazy shit like this going on in the world. And if just something as simple as not having access to clean water is so prominent in the world, it's actually far more common than having access to, then what does that say about the prominence of evil? The prominence of bullshit? Even the mental health, I'm not going to say crisis, but mental health has not been... It's not seen its best days. I made one more post somewhere down in my TikTok page where I watched another video from this other YouTuber where he literally points out 18 lies in a woman's dating advice video. Lies, actual provable lies. And the thing about lies, this is the main point, I suppose, is that these lies, evil, it appears good. It appears real. And because we accidentally, unknowingly believe that what we are being told and shown is real and is good, we fail to recognize that it is evil and bullshit to begin with.